Hi guys, so I had a viewer ask me an interesting question, namely why INFJs can both come across as wise and somewhat stern and serious and detached and distant, and also silly, childish, playful, and just overall kind of more in the juvenile territory. So first of all, first question is this true? Because at first, some people might think, well, surely an INFJ who's capable of being both this and that perhaps is not a completely consistent INFJ. This is something I've noticed, there are people who tend to view INFJs through the prism of INFJs are serious, even though they may have a playful interior world. They tend to be quite serious and they project a certain level of reserve and privacy. And then you have other people who think that INFJs can be quite silly. But I think the majority would be of the view that INFJs are externally serious, internally not so serious. Now, one of the first issues with this particular approach is that you could say that about most people. If you like, there's going to be a lot of people who are way less serious than they appear to be, for the simple reason that in their interior world they can be whoever they want to be. They can be authentically themselves. When you're dealing with the external world and with other people, you obviously have to take that into account, and you can't allow yourself to be too childishly or childlike and playful in your manners. Now, on the other hand, it is true that there are certain people who are serious, stern, and who are not that much fun. But even them, in a certain sense, their internal world is way more playful in the domain of fantasy. Don't ever forget, guys, that the notion of fantasy is crucial in understanding personality. It's crucial in understanding mental health. It's crucial in understanding the psychodynamic picture of the human psyche. Creative fantasy is really at the core of what we are and what we do. Now, a lot of fantasies are not conscious. In the case of those people who seem stern both publicly and privately, their fantasy activity at an unconscious level is probably quite unserious as a compensation mechanism, like Jung explains. And I would wager that often these people will have quite interesting dreams. Even though I'm not familiar with their dreams, it would be quite likely that their dreams are quite out there and kind of manic, because dreams are the ultimate window into our unconscious, including our unconscious compensations. So now, to zero in specifically on the case of the INFJ, what I would say is it all depends on the kind of INFJ you're talking about, and particularly like their stage of spiritual development, if we might call it that, right? So are they compliant? Are they solipsistic? Are they spiritualized? Are they secure? As you know, often the secure and the spiritualized INFJs have similar types of behavior, and it makes sense because the spiritualized INFJ is an INFJ who has become more secure through a particular path of individuation. What is distinctive about spiritualized and secure INFJs is that they are able to quite relatively effortlessly, not always completely effortlessly, but relatively effortlessly connect the NI world, the internal world, and the world of external reality and other people. Now, the thing is, and this is important for you to understand this, is that solipsistic INFJs always come across more serious. Adaptive or compliant INFJs, same thing, tend to be much more labile and malleable. So depending on the circumstance, and depending particularly on how they think they will influence those who are around them, or how they are themselves influenced by those around them, they will take up a more playful enthusiastic, playful and unserious demeanor, and other times it will come across more serious. But those traits are mostly adaptive and dependent on whoever is around them. The solipsistic INFJ is a lot less labile in this respect, a lot less changeable. So they will usually come across quite serious, sometimes even a little bit possessed. They tend to think that the vision they see in their mind's eye, that is the outgrowth of the NI world is too serious a matter to be laughed about. And it would be wrong to think that this kind of behavior is the ultimate INFJ spiritual development. It is not. NI, by its very nature, is not their external world, and it doesn't express its own playfulness in the same way. It's true that there's something very, again, fantasy driven and playful in the NI world of a solipsistic INFJ, but that's completely private, and what comes out is serious. But the spiritualized INFJ is the INFJ, again, who's connecting the two worlds. And there's something that you systematically see, and you see that often in their sense of humor. Again, the example of Dale Cooper, the character from Twin Peaks, is perfect, really perfect to illustrate a spiritualized INFJ, because he's both serious and unserious. He's unserious in his seriousness and serious in his unseriousness. He seems to be in his own world, and yet through the very fact of being in his own world, he's very good at what he does. He's connected with other people and idiosyncratically himself at the very same time. So when you're talking about an INFJ who's both serious and playful, both reserved, sometimes coldly reserved, and childlike, you're talking about a spiritualized INFJ or a secure INFJ. But really, that's the main lesson here. And the reason why I think that you get this unseriousness in the spiritualized INFJ is that they become deeply and keenly aware of the inevitable contrast between the world of NI and the external world. They know that it's not easy to connect the two worlds, and they have fundamentally accepted alienation. They have made alienation their own destiny. They don't see it as a problem to be solved. They see it as a reality to be experienced. And the thing is that this reality to be experienced is discordant. There is something discordant in the experience, and that discordance, in a sense, plays down the relative value of either the NI world or external reality. I mean, they value them enormously, of course, but they realize that neither one or the other world can claim utter seriousness over the other, because there is another that is equally to be taken seriously. So when one of the two worlds offers the temptation to take itself or be taken very seriously, they play them down with humor. They're like, chillax, man. It's don't think that you are that important, because there's some other world there that you have to contend with. And often the mechanism that they use to diffuse the tension is humor, and the humor is often childlike, because they think it's very playful. They think it's a game. In some way, it's a very, very serious game. It's a very serious movie that we're involved in, but it still has the qualities of a movie, and they're enthusiastic about it, and they want to bring about change. But that's a trait, this combination of playful and serious, that you will see particularly in spiritualized and secure INFJs, and it manifests most of the time in their humor. Again, think of Dale Cooper. Now, as it happens, I have devoted an entire chapter to this question in the Infinite Soul, right? Let me check again very quickly. I think this is chapter 2, but it's called... No, sorry, chapter 4, Laughing with Other People. Laughing with Other People. You can see here, chapter 4. It's all about this issue. So if you want to know more, and as well as to know about how INFJs can be spiritualized in the world today without sacrificing their INFJ identity. In fact, authenticity to your identity is crucial to maturing, individuating, and finding purpose, value, and meaning. This is the book to get, The Infinite Soul, INFJ Life in the Modern World. Check the link below, guys. It's the first link because it's my latest book. Check also its prequel, which is The Ecstatic Soul, a new look at the INFJ personality, which is the deepest investigation into the INFJ mind that you will find online, simply said. What is it like to have an INFJ consciousness? What's it like to think like an INFJ? What's it like to be an INFJ? This is the book that looks at all these issues. And again, as you can see from the covers, the two books go very well together, and I recommend you get both. Just a few words on my Patreon page, guys. My channel is very dependent on your kind support so that I can keep going in these difficult times. You have a link below to my Patreon. If you join my Patreon page, you'll become a fellow Jungian existentialist. You get access to my community, potentially opening a Discord soon. Get access to bonus video contents pretty much every 2 weeks where I go more in depth about a particular topic, and that's a Patreon exclusive, and many other things. And also, perhaps mainly, you help me keep going. So I'd be very grateful if you considered it. In the meantime, take care of yourself, and I see you soon. Bye-bye.